KL Productions presents
The Time Is Now by Ryan C. Sanders. Once upon a time in a peaceful little town called Serenity Falls, there was a small group of friends who went to school together and attended the same church every Sunday. Their names were Timmy, Ivy, Max, and Eliza. They were all different, yet they shared one common thing. Each of them felt like something wasn't quite right in their lives. At school, their teachers filled their minds with endless rules, facts, and tests. At church, they were told what to believe and how to behave. At home, they worried about things that hadn't happened yet or felt sad about things from the past. One day, as they sat under their favorite oak tree after school, Max, who was always the loudest voice, said,
I don't understand. They tell us to work hard in school so we can be happy when we grow up. But what about now? Why does it feel like everything we do is either about the past or the future?
Timmy, who was quieter but thoughtful, nodded. I feel the same way. It's like we're always running after something, but we never catch it. Just then, a kind voice spoke from behind them. It was Miss Sage, the wise woman who lived at the edge of Serenity Falls. She often walked through the fields, picking herbs and watching the sunset, always seeming so calm and at peace. I couldn't help but overhear you, she said with a gentle smile. You're right to feel that way, but there's something important you haven't been told. Do you know about time? The friends shook their heads, eyes wide with curiosity. Time stands for the inner moment of enlightenment, Miss Sage explained as she sat down on the grass with them. It's something that most adults have forgotten, and even your teachers and your church leaders don't always understand it. But it's very simple. It's about living fully in the present, right here, now. Ivy, always skeptical, frowned. But we have to think about the past, right? That's where all our lessons are. And what about the future? Don't we need to plan for it? Miss Sage nodded kindly. Of course, we can learn from the past and plan for the future, but the secret is not to live there. Right now, in this very moment, is where all your power lies. You don't need to worry about what has already happened or what might happen. The more you live in the now, the more peaceful and happy you feel. Eliza, who often felt sad but didn't know why, looked up hopefully. How do we do that? How do we live in the now? Miss Sage smiled warmly. It starts with recognizing that you are not your thoughts. Your mind might tell you stories all day long about things that happened or could happen, but you are not those stories. You are the one listening to those stories. When you realize that, you can begin to watch your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. Max scratched his head.
Watch our thoughts? How do we do that?
I'll show you a little trick, Miss Sage said, her eyes twinkling. Close your eyes for a moment. Now take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, pay attention to what's around you. The feelings of the wind on your skin, the sounds of the birds, the smell of the grass. That's where you are. In the now. You aren't stuck in your thoughts about yesterday or tomorrow. You're simply here. The children followed her instructions, and for the first time in what felt like forever, they were truly still. Ivy noticed how calm her heart felt when she wasn't worrying about tomorrow's test. Timmy realized that the sadness he had been carrying from a fight with his brother the week before seemed to fade when he focused on the warmth of the sun. Eliza, who often felt invisible, could feel the energy in her own body. She was alive, and it felt good. Max, usually the one to argue or fidget, found a quiet peace he hadn't known before. After a few moments, Miss Sage spoke again. That's the power of presence. You just experienced. the inner moment of enlightenment. When you're in the now, you're free from the past and future. You're free from worry, fear, and sadness. It's like a calm in the middle of a storm. Timmy opened his eyes filled with a new understanding. So we don't have to listen to every thought our mind tells us? That's right, Miss Sage said. Your mind is a tool, like a hammer or a pencil. It's useful, but you don't need it running the show all the time. If you stay present, you'll see that life is much simpler and more beautiful than all the noise in your head makes it seem. Ivy, always one the plan, asked, "But what if something bad happens? How can we stay in the now then?" Miss Sage nodded wisely. It's not always easy, but remember, the pain or worry you feel is usually not about the present moment. It's about something that's already passed or something you fear might happen. If you stay present, you'll see that right here, right now, everything is okay. And when something challenging comes, being present will help you handle it with a clear mind and a calm heart. Eliza smiled. I think I understand. It's like when I'm drawing, I get so lost in that I forget about everything else. That's when I feel most happy. Exactly, Miss Sage exclaimed. When you're fully engaged in what you're doing, whether it's drawing, playing, or even listening to someone, you're living in the now. That's where real joy lives. Max, feeling the weight of his usual worries lift, asked,
Why don't more people know about this?
Miss Sage sighed softly. Many grown-ups have forgotten, or they've been taught to believe that happiness lies in the future when they achieve something or get something they want. But you don't have to wait for that. The time is now. You can always come back to this moment no matter what's happening around you. The children felt a deep sense of peace as they sat together knowing that they had discovered something powerful. From that day forward, they reminded each other to be present, whether at school, at church, or when they're feeling upset. They would take a deep breath, feel the world around them, and remember the wise wisdom Miss Sage had shared. In the end, they learned that life wasn't about the endless race to the future or the regrets of the past. It was about living in the present, where the real magic happened. And they knew that whatever the storms of life came, they would always find peace in the now.
Thank you for listening. Please
I
subscribe.
have someone who needs me, someone I've needed so long. For once unafraid, I can go.